Hey guys, my name is Green Man. I'm originally from a small village in Germany. I was voted greenest person on the planet in 2008, and my passion is to inspire people to live a green lifestyle. I myself try to live as green as possible. Electricity bill less than $10 US. I just created my carbon footprint, zero carbon footprint off-grid home. Green living, that's my business. In the morning, we look at our personal lives. In the afternoon, we look at what can we do in the office. What can we do as a member of an organization or as a manager or owner to take our organization, our business to the next level. Again, to shift from burden to planet to healing the planet through product innovation, energy efficiency, reduction of consumption, adding more to the bottom line and coming up with innovations that help the planet. That's what green living and working is all about, to look at where can I be the change and be the difference.
Hello, good evening everybody. I hope you're doing great today. As usual, every 2 weeks, Saturday evening at 8 p.m. We got Green Man on the show, hopefully some inspiration. I've always got a guest with me, and tonight I've got the amazing Bea Dolores with me. I first met Bea a couple of years ago after a climate reality training, and I am so inspired by her. She's the ninang as well of my baby daughter. Kim, Kuya Kim, please bring Bea on. Welcome to Bea. Great to have you here with us. Hi Bea, how are you?
Good evening. I'm great. Tomorrow is gonna be Valentine's.
Oh yeah, wow.
Happy birthday.
Any tips for an eco-friendly Valentine's?
Oh yeah, just give some plant of plant of roses would be great. Or if not, if you're just really going for the bouquet, please don't use any single-use plastics. Try to recycle. Try to come on, paper crafts are much more romantic because it's full of effort and it's well thought of. So try those other things.
So you got to make the flowers yourself rather than buy them somewhere. Because if you buy them, they're usually wrapped in single-use plastic, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure now if maybe we can check Dangwa or whatsoever if there are less plastic, single-use plastics nowadays. If maybe the market is now changing things up. Just like actually, there's already a lot of bouquets bought in that Dangwa, wherein you can buy just vegetable bouquets.
Wow. So if there are any admirers of Bea who would like to kind of send a signal tomorrow, make sure it's super sustainable, guys. Otherwise, time you will be out already. You will be rejected already, right?
Definitely.
So these are the modern, eco-conscious, sustainable climate emergency female champions that are the real change, the real deal. So this is amazing. Bea, when did we first meet? Remind me, it was in a coffee shop somewhere, right? In Metro Manila.
October 2016, maybe it's either Starbucks of Mega Mall or the one beside it. So I'm not sure. I'm sorry for... Anyway, we already spit the name, but I worked there before, so...
Yes.
So and about 5 years.
Yes, and you got in touch with me, right? You wanted to discuss a couple of ideas on sustainability and stuff like that, and I gave you a copy of my book. Is that right? And that's how we stayed in touch. Yeah, great. And Bea became the ninang of my baby daughter. Yes. So it was amazing. It's amazing, right? How things develop.
Mm-hmm.
So hi as well to our friends from the Scouts. Some of them are joining us tonight as well. We have there the Amateur Media Association of the Philippine Scouts. Yes, great to see you guys here. And lovely to have you with us. I hope We will have the scouts from different parts of the Philippines as well joining us. They are our avid followers, and this is really great. So, guys, as you come online, let us know where you are coming from tonight, which part of the country you're from. Bea, where are you at the moment?
I'm in Calamba, Laguna, the hometown of Dr. Jose Rizal, and we're quite close by.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm in San Pablo City, so we are not so far away from one another at the end
Mhm.
of the day. And what have you been up to the last few days?
Um, I'm actually trying martial arts. I've had some growing fascinations with it. At the same time, I've already accessorized my BAM bike. So I work in BAM bikes. I'm also an ambassador. And then now I'm going to try to go out of the subdivision to really try the road, the main
Mhm.
roads. And actually, I'll bring the bike to Manila tomorrow.
All right, that's great. So, what is sustainable about the bum bike? I mean, a lot of people here might have never heard of it.
Oh.
What is it actually about, and what made you become an ambassador?
Yeah. The BAM bike is created by Brian McClelland of um, he used to work in Gawad Kalinga. If you're familiar with the sustainable and those who help those who are um, in low income families to have their own houses, and then though in Gawad Kalinga, especially in the Tarlac area, they also help in providing livelihoods. And then that's where Brian came in. He was an intern and all. And eventually he just became fascinated with bamboo to the point that he was able to create some bamboo frames. And then
Mhm.
eventually they really harnessed the technology of bamboo, and they were able to create a bamboo bike. And
Mhm. Excellent.
seriously,
Uh,
the
uh,
experience of bamboo bikes are really amazing. It's shock absorbing. That's why it's
mm.
much more comfortable in riding bamboo bikes compared to the usual ones, as well as you can see that there is higher tensile strength in in engineered bamboos compared to steel.
Wow, this is all great. This is the eco-friendly material that grows super fast, absorbs a lot of carbon when it grows, and you chop it, it regrows. So it's wonderful. It's amazing. Actually, Brian promised me as well a baby bike for my daughter one day.
Oh,
So tell him I haven't forgotten that,
oh
and
yeah, okay.
we're looking forward to that one day. And we have Mika here all the way from Negros Occidental. Hi, Mika. We have Charm here, wonderful Charm, the host of the other podcast that I was on. She's from Batangas, Philippines. She's from the Scouts, Boy Scouts TV, and Kat. We have Kat here. Actually, you might have met Kat before, Bea, because he is a very well known green architect that is very experienced in LEED and green building certifications.
Oh,
So he might ask one or two questions for you later on because Bea is studied architecture as well. So we have Vanessa as well, all the way from Muntinlupa. That's great. We have different parts of the Philippines here joining us tonight. That's wonderful. And Bea, what made you become a climate emergency, climate action champion? I mean, where did it all start?
mainly it started with my mother because she is really a green thumb. Although I'm not good with gardening myself, I try. But overall, I was raised to really live eco-friendly. We don't waste at all, and we also keep our plastics and we segregate properly and all that. We really live a very humble life. And
Mm,
then in architecture, um, at first it was all sometimes you see people see architecture like as destructive industry, but then I'm thankful that we were taught better, that we were taught that architecture should be in designing for the people, designing for the environment, and not for profit only. And
So,
I'm thankful that my professor shared with us the inconvenient truth of Al
wow.
Gore. So we watched that. That's actually my main turning point. From then on, I started becoming more intuitive with what I do, and then 2016 came the training, and since then I just started becoming more active and be really out there for the environment.
Wow, that's great. That's amazing. It was the professor at the university that shared the Al Gore movie. Amazing. And it provided additional inspiration. Now, if we want to build a small house in the Philippines, can you make us a design of a eco-friendly, sustainable small house? Are you
Yes.
already, yeah?
But are you asking for like a prototype or like an already design, or if I'm capable?
No, I mean we want to do a small one in the province
Ah,
in Quezon province, just a small one, but it's supposed to be green. We want the cooling to be as effective as possible, so the natural roofing material, the right positioning, so that the sun doesn't heat it up before we go to bed at night, so that hopefully it will be comfortable without the aircon to use. I mean, we have already a mini Bahay Kubo there, but this is supposed to be a little bit bigger, more solid than the Bahay Kubo,
mhm.
but still green, sustainable, low cost, and eco-friendly. So, can you help us with that? Can you help
Well,
our listeners with that?
of course. We're actually starting right now with my friend, an architect, that there's this very lovely client of ours that really wants an all natural house. And so,
Wow.
yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy that there are clients like that who are really passionate, that we really are going to make the most out of not using any steel and all.
Mm,
So wish us luck. And actually, here at home, I also don't need any not electrical ventilation because it's just well situated, and really the tropical design is my thing. That's what I live for, and I'm all into, of course, I'm already in the bamboo advocacy as
mm.
well. I'm really into integrating the natural materials into the modern ways.
Ways,
I'm
great.
excited.
So we
Let's give
we
it
have
life.
Yeah, we have Victor here asking, can it be done with a specific budget? So that's one thing. And I have a budget in mind, and I'm gonna look forward to hear what budget you're gonna give us. And what do we do if the materials and the way of doing things that you suggest is uh, complicated for the workers in the barangay who are used to the hollow blocks and the cement. And you're going to tell them you can do it all with natural materials. And hi, Jean Gabriel, who is watching from Pampanga. That's great to see you here. So, what budget do we need, and how can we make it easy for the workers?
hmm Actually, the client personally gave them their own budget, and then personally, we're still about to explore the in terms of budget wise and also in terms of the people, because right now we are already seeing the technology on how things can be done, and then it can be also discussed with those who will work with us. It also depends on the interest of those people and then the willingness of them to learn. But all in all, it can be done. And then, yeah, in terms of budget wise, I'm not sure if I can give something very concretely. I really want to do more research about it.
Okay, so next time when Bea comes on the show, she will give us the detailed budget with the proposal of what we can use and how we can train the workers in the barangays to cope with the natural material. And Victor as well is worried that the insects are going to come in. You know, if you have an open system, you will be eaten up by the insects, right, Victor?
There are
What's your view
solutions.
on that? There are
There are solutions
solutions.
to that, as well as actually that was also the case before, like from Spanish colonial period. They also already had their solutions on how to eradicate some stuff, what antibacterial solutions should be done so that things won't be contaminated and whatsoever. So it's really based on the designs. And in terms of lessening the budget, it's more of if there are already available site materials on site, for example, the trees there, and then if there are really just materials close by, things will be a whole lot cheaper.
All right, good. So let's go back to basics for tonight. We want to talk as well about the climate emergency. Now, do we have a climate emergency? Some people say, hey, what's the problem? You know, I don't see any emergency around me. What would you say to that?
I hope that last year's scenario in the Philippines, the endless donation drives, and it's very, very exhausting, already made us realize that there is some climate emergency. There's been a lot of tragedies that happened here in the Philippines itself. We already had just 6 storms in a month, and about a lot of them were devastating. It cost us billions of pesos and a lot of lives lost, of course. So that's already an emergency itself. Things are so out of hand already, and yeah.
Would you say COVID is as well part of that emergency? I mean, is COVID linked to climate change, Bea?
I cannot. I don't want to say the climate. I can say that it's more of a biodiversity issue, and then a man-made issue as well. That because of the tampering of humans in the environment, that's what led to COVID. Climate change might have worsened it, but I don't want to delve into that portion because it's much more scientific.
Yeah, it's a complex topic, but I think the essence that you mentioned, there is a question about the relationship of the human species with the natural environment and the extraction of 7 billion humans, consumption and endless growth, extracting all the oil, gas, coal that Mother Nature took millions of years to accumulate in the crust of the earth. We are digging it out, burning it, and fueling our economic growth within a short period of time of human civilization. And we are disconnecting with the balance of the biodiversity. Those things all work together and accumulate more and more risks, endangering the human species presence on planet Earth. That would be my take on it. But yes, it's so complex in terms of the relationships that we cannot make a simple conclusion here. But there are things that give us the clear message. We need to take action. We humans need to take action. So for all of our listeners out there, and I have as well this one comment from Victor, and I think we should do another session, another time on green buildings and affordable houses. Maybe Kat, who joined us as well, he could be one of the guests, and we can really talk about that as a separate topic. But what can the youth in the Philippines do, Bea, to address the climate emergency? And we will come as well back to the other question from Victor that's linked to the topic. So what actions can we actually take here and now?
Mainly for the youth to really speak and of course bring awareness to their own fellow friends, peers, because we have a lot of power and we are the ones who have the means and resources to learn, to spread more awareness, and at the same time we are also the ones who are currently learning things, and basically we are the ones who can choose the lives that we're heading to. Like if we want to pursue architecture, if we want to pursue sustainable development, please, it's the time for us. You can choose the much more sustainable path, which will eventually make you become the frontliners of this development, especially in the future. You will become the future leaders of this, and as well as make it's kind of an anxiety of the youth that what is the future that we are going to face.
Yeah,
Are
you
we
can help. Yeah, you can help shape the future rather than being caught by the anxiety, driven in a corner. You can challenge the people who make the decisions that will affect the future of the youth. So it's basically an empowerment, right? An empowerment to step up, let your voice to be heard, take action, and articulate. Now,
yeah,
you were the Filipino representative to the mock COP. Now, COP is Conference of Parties. This is the UNFCCC, United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change process to come up with a solution to the problem. You might have heard of the Paris Agreement. That was basically a deal struck that's supposed to help globally all parties to avoid that the planet heats up more than 1.5 Celsius. The good news is Biden has made the US join again the Paris Agreement. I think we will see more impetus. You guys, you young people, held a mock COP, and you were the main Filipino representative. I'm very proud of you about that. What did you guys come up with as the recommendations?
yes. So there are about 300 youth delegates from all over the world, from 140 countries. So imagine there are 140 country representatives who discussed what they wanted for their own country and what they aim for the future. And together they presented some suggested policies, which eventually became an actual treaty in mock-up. Is it okay to share it here? I wonder if we can show that in the show later. But yeah, you can also just check mockcop.org/treaty and compared. So what we can see as a main difference from this one, from the youth-led mock-cop compared to the United Nations Conference of Parties, is that this one is made out of pure, genuine interest for sustainable change, and it's inclusive. It made sure that those who are in this global south are heard, and they have better representations. There are actually about 5 delegates at global south countries compared to 3 delegates in other countries. So there's this much availability of being heard as those who are actually experiencing the climate emergency.
So just imagine, you can be heard at a global level. You can come from, a normal town in Laguna and, grow up in a simple barangay, right? And you can become a global voice. Same with me. I grew up in a small German village, barangay, that nobody took serious because that village was like far away from anything else, and everybody thinks there are only farmers and construction workers from that village. It doesn't really matter. The world is open. You can become a voice. If any one of you actually has a question for Bea, feel free to share that in the chat section. We have actually Victor asked that question. Should our government consider the UN SEC general call to declare climate emergency? I think that's happened already in the Philippines. And he is as well commenting that we can join with Avant Wood. That's a Finnish company that turns bamboo and other materials into high performance building materials. So I think that's what Vic is referring to. But this climate emergency declaration, that happened already, Bea, right? And what does it actually mean?
Mm-hmm. Basically, so right now we are already um, providing our own national determined contributions, and also it also followed that declaration of climate emergency. So basically, all nations should take things seriously right now, as well as corporations. Corporations have a lot of say and control over what are happening and over the carbon emissions as well.
So for these NDCs, tell us what exactly is that, and how ambitious is the Philippines gonna be? I know
Mhm.
we had this controversy some years ago, I think, where the president made the comment that, this might be too tough for the country. But I think people have realized these are voluntary goals that a country can set by itself. A country is not forced to accept goals given by someone else. So, where are we with regards to the local Philippines nationally determined contribution process and most likely targets to be achieved?
We are actually just started to revise the text that was already drafted before about last year. Thankfully, there were a lot of consultations that happened among the civil society organizations. So the society organizations were heard by our own government, and we really saw the drastic improvement on the NDC that is now going to be sent and submitted to the United Nations. And actually, it was just sent earlier this morning at us, those who were there as stakeholders and those who were consulted and heard of. And I can see the drastic change, and I'm really happy about it. They said that they aim for inclusive growth, that there will be a meaningful participation for everyone, as in not just the youth, not just the civil society organizations, but also the indigenous peoples, and as well as the PWDs, and basically really everyone. And basically, it's all about the sustainable development that we want as a country. And in terms of the conditional or the unconditional matters, there will be about 75% carbon reduction targets by 2030. That is going to be the commitment of the Philippines.
Wow, that's great. That's great. This is 75% of carbon intensity, or how it is defined, because some people have talked about total carbon emission reduction. Uh, Others have talked about carbon intensity, which is CO2 emission in relation to GDP, or it could be like CO2 emission in relation to population. So, what is that 75% referring to?
What they said at the moment, because of course texts are limited, the papers are limited. So right now what they mentioned is carbon reduction targets, but maybe I could ask that to them personally about the elaborated process. And also later on they will provide us an implementation plan and whatnot, a timetable. And so we will really watch over what they are talking about and what they want us to know, and for us to actually provide our insights. We can go ahead and look at the Climate Change Commission Facebook page. Sometimes they give announcements there on and they make the consultations live on Facebook, so you can
Yeah.
listen and you can watch or provide some comments there.
Yeah, it's actually the Facebook page of the Climate Change Commission. You can search for them. They are doing the live screening of the consultations. You can actually watch the one that happened 1.5 weeks ago. And before we go to the two questions here that Victor is asking, what about the scouts? We have some scouts here listening today. If they wanted to get involved, because I was amazed when I was on their show on Thursday, which I can highly recommend. They were saying that they are going to plant, I can't remember, 1 million or 2 million trees, the Boy Scouts,
Wow.
which is incredible. And how can that contribute to the targets? How can the Scouts get involved in the national NDC implementation and consultation?
Did you mention native trees or you just mentioned trees?
You have to ask them what kind of trees they plan to plant. So, but that question already implies, hey guys, Bea would love you to plant native trees rather than foreign species, right? For getting the biodiversity aspects right.
Yeah, of course, forestry is also part of the NDC or of our nationally determined contributions that we need to really take care of our ecological resources so that we can definitely reduce the carbon emissions. And
Mm.
planting trees is a great help. And for my own suggestion is to really reach out to DENR, to that place, to that site where you're going to plant so that you will know the actual species that will thrive there and be healthy for that environment.
Yeah. And Victor here is basically saying, okay, CO2 emissions, the plastic is made from oil, and we are creating so much plastic waste. Isn't that 75% figure and economic conditions too ambitious? And then another add on to that, problems with transport and car emissions. I guess, if we look at most of the vehicles here, they seem to be releasing more emissions than the law stipulates they should, but somehow they still get a certificate. So, what do we do about all of that, and how can we address that to help us achieve those ambitious targets?
So, I mean, firstly, I am not a representative of the government. It's just that I had the opportunity to be in touch with with their updates, so I can say something about it. Firstly, about the plastics, I just saw from the Climate Change Commission that they are pushing through um, completely eradicating single-use plastics. You can check it out. It's just one of the recent posts of climate change commissions. I personally don't know how they will do it, but at least there's this initiative to really try to implement it. And then in regards to the transportation, that's my same concern. That what is happening? Can I actually asked that on the NDC consultation that did they include the computation on the rise of the vehicles regarding the of course there were a lot of roads being constructed as well. So is this going to contradict one another with their NDC? So we are here to watch over and we are here to really just make the government stick to their commitments.
But I think what is very, very important is that this is a collaboration between government and the
Private,
various parties in the country.
yeah.
It doesn't work with having, okay, you are the guys who have to implement it, and we are going to watch you and we are going to step on your toes. All stakeholders need to collaborate, all stakeholders need to come together for a common goal, a common ambition. The Philippines is a relatively small contributor to the global climate change problem, but it's hit very hard by being one of the countries most at risk. So we all need to start with ourselves, with our own carbon footprint, and seek for collaboration rather than confrontation. I think in
Yeah.
so I see a lot of people asking for this, asking for that, but there needs to be a good spirit of collaboration to be able to achieve it and get the benefits from achieving it. The perception is usually if we do all of this, it will cost an arm and a leg, but actually, it might lead to a healthier society, to more sustainable agriculture, to a more healthy biodiversity, and to lifting up the income, especially at a rural level, if we go through sustainable transformation and innovation. And if you clean up the air, both outside and inside, you usually have a healthier life and a more productive workforce. So there are all these benefits that we can gain. And I think even recently, again, there was a study made that the money we would have to spend to reverse climate change is actually very, very small compared to what we are spending on COVID now. And the benefits are gigantic. So the Green New Deal that people are talking about in the US, in Europe. We have a law here in the Philippines on green jobs, which is amazing. Actually, the Philippines government has been very proactive in many ways. But I think we need everybody to work together on making it happen in real life, in practical terms. How
Yeah.
can we accelerate that spirit of collaboration?
Yeah. Hopefully it would definitely need a whole lot of teams involved, like for example, active participations of CSO, civil society organizations. Also, hopefully there are business owners here or are listening. We the government would definitely need your help in terms of try to make your own business sustainable, as well as of course the building professionals. All sectors would really need to step up and also reach out to the government to provide some help, especially the researchers and the academies. All of us can do something about it.
So, practically speaking, Bea, for the business people, what is your recommendation for business people how to green their business, make it more sustainable, make it more socially equitable?
I think Matthias, it's more of your realm. I it's because there's like a lot of I'm not a technical person in terms of the businesses, so I don't know. For me, it's just more of um, take things into heart that what you're doing is for the environment and for the people, and if you are doing something that is good for the benefit of many, you will be blessed, as well as people will support you more because you are doing something that is for a good cause. And so therefore, there's a whole bunch of layer added on your business, and that's gonna make you unique, and that's gonna make you much more attractive to your target market.
Great, that's excellent. In the same way as those who want to charm Bea tomorrow with a Valentine's gift, they have to be sustainable, otherwise, they will face outright rejection. So, this is the same message for the business people out there. Consumers will reject you unless you become more sustainable. The millennials and the consumers of the future will use a different measuring stick. They will not just buy the cheapest and the single use. As Victor said, no plastic for Valentine's. Don't do plastic, otherwise, you'll be in big trouble. Just imagine if all the ladies of the world would reject plastic for Valentine's. Boom, what impact would that make? Any other suggestions from our audience on eco friendly Valentine's gifts? I always tell my wife, darling, you know, I'm sustainable. I believe in dematerialization. That's why I don't have a physical gift for you. My gift is the gift of love, heart, and emotion, and time spent with you. Then there is no waste, right? It's the experience. And I
Yeah.
shared something as well with the friends from the Scouts on the show we had on Thursday, which I think they enjoyed a lot. Instead of FOMO, we need JOMO.
What is
Do you know
that?
what is JOMO, Bea?
Is FOMO fear of missing out?
Yeah, FOMO is fear of missing out.
Joy of
And
missing out.
Hmm?
Joy of missing out.
Yes, JOMO is
That
the joy of missing out. There, there is so much joy in not needing to do this, not needing to have this, not being under pressure to go into Lazada and look for the latest something.
I don't
There is,
even buy online. I don't
hmm?
even go to Lazada.
I know, I'm just talking in general terms.
I just want to share that I am surprised that I haven't online shopped in Lazada or in any online shops for so long. I buy from my
Wow.
friends books.
Second
Just that
hand.
I make sure, yeah, and I make sure that I lessen the carbon emissions. And for example, if I can meet them, it's gonna be um, much more less carbon emissions for me because I was able to do a lot of other things, as well as I'll just meet them because I live outside Metro Manila. So it's going to be
Mm.
extra carbon emissions. So that's a no-no for me.
So what about the clothes that you're wearing? Are they recycled?
This is from my sister. Majority of my clothes are hand-me-downs. So yeah.
Great. I mean, this one is not it's not handed down from anyone else. But this shirt, I've worn it maybe 400 or 500 times.
Yeah, I
So
know.
it's definitely eco-efficient.
More than 100 times.
Yeah, yeah. So uh, the shift from FOMO to JOMO, and life will be more cost effective. You will have a lower carbon footprint, and you will have more happiness. So that could
Yeah,
be as well a climate emergency strategy, right? JOMO
exactly.
instead of FOMO. So as we are wrapping up, Bea, what are your words of wisdom for your fellow countrywomen and countrymen, the young generation in the Philippines? How can they contribute to addressing the climate emergency and doing that in a way that doesn't scare them off, but take them to another level of fulfillment and happiness?
Mm-hmm. Since this is Valentine's and um, we are also just this is also something that I always say that the main solution to address the climate emergency and also to help Mother Earth is to love Mother Earth, learn to love it much deeper so that, as in, just appreciate what's around you. Appreciate the leaves, appreciate the trees, appreciate what you're smelling, the wind, the sun. Appreciate everything about nature so that you will be really drawn in actually doing something for the environment. Just love Mother Earth.
Wow, beautiful words of wisdom. That's a fitting end to our show today. Bea Dolores, climate reality leader and champion for so many good causes. Thanks for joining us today. Take that love for nature and for your fellow humans with you today, tomorrow, and all days. Make that eco Valentine's every day, like Earth Day every day. Cheers. See you again in 2 weeks' time. Thanks so much, Bea. Bye bye.
I hope for a sustainable Philippines to get to the point where we ensure ecological integrity, clean and healthy environment, where we expand economic opportunities in agriculture, fishery and forestry, and when we ensure a people-centered, clean and efficient governance. I think this is how I envision sustainable Philippines.
Hello, I am Macario SD1, an undergraduate student of De La Salle University, Manila, and I envision a sustainable Philippines where every Filipino is responsible enough to take a stand and to take action on the current state and the future fate of our country, particularly the environment and its people. I envision a sustainable Philippines where every Filipino is walking on the same path and working on the same goal, to nourish the environment and make this world a better place, not just for our own generation, but more especially for the generations to come.
A nation that is willing to work with nature to create a brighter future.
A sustainable Philippines is when every Filipino works for the good of the country, economically, socially, and environmentally, making it a better place to live in forever.
A sustainable Philippines will mean self-sufficiency in food, clean energy, and clean potable water everywhere. Plastic production, usage, and disposal will be better handled. Pollution will be at levels that do not adversely affect the health of people, animals, and plants. Lastly, the government will truly be focused on the needs of the people in all respects so that there is less waste in fuel, time, and health.
I would like to see Sustainable PH catalyze a movement of responsible stewards who conserve and preserve the rich natural resources of the Philippines so that every Filipino can have access to basic human needs of food, clothing, and shelter, so that every Filipino can have an equal opportunity to thrive and flourish in his own country, because we are Sustainable PH.
My future vision for a sustainable Philippines is that we can create loads of new jobs and a great economy from healing the planet, and the opportunity for our children to breathe clean air, have clean and fresh water, and harmony with nature.
I hope for a sustainable Philippines where everyone can have access to basic services like quality education and healthcare, and also enjoy clean air and environment, live in sustainable cities, and have decent jobs, and be protected by justice.